So, as a tourist coming to Vegas, you want to protect yourself from everyday hustles and scams and cons. And in this video, I'm going to go up a tier list starting at what I think are the least threatening to what I think are the most threatening for you to get taken advantage of or lose your money as a tourist here in town. And my name is Steven. I'm not leaving Las Vegas. And what do I have to speak on from authority? Well, I worked on the strip for 12 years. I was a timeshare marketer, and I wasn't one of the ones that would hustle you and lie to you. I will give you that in just a moment on the tier list, so stay tuned for that. But I've seen everything, and there is one common denominator of all these people I'm about to talk about, which I'll reveal at the end of the video, that makes them the most dangerous type of person on the entire Las Vegas Strip. So stick around for the video. Let's get cracking, Jackson. I worked on the strip for 12 years. I was a timeshare marketer. I did Grand Canyon marketing. At some point, I was handing out coupons for Brazilian steakhouses. I was doing everything in between. I worked in licensed booths that were inside of gift shops. I've worked in casino properties. I've worked at little Grand Canyon kiosks, and I've stood on the street corner and did it all with nothing more than a license from the real estate division in order to promote and market timeshare. You have to be licensed for that job. And you can apparently conduct it outside, but we'll get to that person in a moment. So what do I have? I have a bit of a pedigree of experience on this. First of all, let's talk about the most basic level of person that when you come to Vegas, you might see and experience and deal with. And that's going to be the guy selling bottles of water or beer, unfortunately, out of coolers. And recently, this has expanded into people selling hot dogs, frutas, which is Spanish for fruit, yeah, counterfeit bags, counterfeit sunglasses, and any sort of little widget that your children can, carry around and makes your kids happy for a few minutes. Oftentimes, they're adorned with little LED lights and spinning things and this kind of stuff. Now, are they harmful? No, they're not really harmful. I guess I would argue that I do have an issue with the guy selling beer out of coolers because they're obviously not checking the kids for their IDs. But people selling bottles of water, they're not harmful to you. They're not refilling the bottles of water, which is a myth that the casinos pump out to people to get them to buy $8 bottles of water at the gift shop. It takes a lot more effort for you to refill a bottle of water and pretend it's sealed again than it does to just have your friend roll up in a truck and give you another cooler full of ice of 24 bottles of water that you purchased for $3 at a club type store. So not really all that harmful. The other person you might experience on the low level of this tier list would be monks who are going to bless you for a rosary and give you blessings on your journey. Just know these people, they are literally, in a lot of cases, imported in gangs from China, however. And they are oftentimes there to make you think you're being blessed by a real monk and that you're giving to a charitable organization. But the reality of it is that monks don't take money. Yeah, it's a thing they don't do for blessings. Monks are out there to give you blessings because they believe in Buddhism and the oneness and the peace that it brings. So they're not legitimate monks. You probably shouldn't go ahead and give them any money. Maybe you will because you get a rosary out of it. It's a little thing you can wear and might make you feel good. And I have a souvenir from Vegas. Not really all that harmful. I've seen monks in Vegas just be chill on the street for years and years. You also have the showgirls. We used to call them the showgirl mafia. The showgirls, of course, have been around in Vegas for many, many years. The showgirls are the ones that go out there and take photos with the tourists. You also have the mascots. We'll loop them into this as well. Now, when you're dealing with mascots, I don't know about you. I'm not all that comfortable with my child, niece, nephew. I don't have kids per se, but there's nieces and nephews in my life and godchildren snuggling up to somebody who's wearing a mask that looks like a minion, and I don't know who is underneath that mask, and they're touching your child. So we'll move that up on the tier list a little bit. If you do take a photo, please be sure to tip those people. It's hot in those costumes, and you are taking advantage of it and creating a memory for your family. You should tip them a few bucks, right? Moving up on the tier list of people in Vegas that you should probably be wary of, we're going to take a big jump on this one and go all the way up to people who are homeless panhandlers on the strip. Now, there is a major problem in major American cities with people basically running in teams and panhandling. There was a woman on the strip who had a bald head and said she had cancer for a decade. Now, I can't prove she didn't have cancer, but she would get into a nice car and drive off the strip every single time we would see her. There's people people on the strip that will mouth back off to you. This puts them into a little bit more of a danger level. So don't mouth off to people on the strip. And if somebody's asking you for money on the strip, they may or may not have a legitimate need for it. Whether or not you donate, that's up to you. I once saw a homeless person dress himself up like those white bucket brigade guys that you see at major intersections across the country, which are licensed charity, and tell people that they were donating to a charity when they weren't. The cops shut him down and said, if you want to beg, roll around in the dirt. Bad cop. There's some good cops. There's some bad cops. We back the blue, but overall, that was not a great cop to make that comment to that guy. But he was, again, hustling and scamming people, which is the common thread denominator in all this, and we'll get to that in just a second. So you might be saying, what about the timeshare guys? We'll get to those in just a moment. Before we get there, we have to move up on the tier list. Next level up is going to be... Oh, hey, you're still watching? That's great. Listen, I want to tell you about another channel I do called Dark Vegas. It's a documentary style channel. It's the dark truths about things in everyday life, and it's not just about Vegas. So subscribe to this channel first, and then subscribe to that one second. And tell them that Steven sent you. And I'll know that that was me, and I'll know that I did my job. All right, back to the tier list video. All right? The guys who sell and hustle and spin club passes. Now, these come in two different variations. Oftentimes, you'll have a guy who has a book and he says, I know all about the clubs. And in that book he has is the Las Vegas Weekly. It's a free guide that you can get mostly off the strip. Most cities have a city guide. This one covers all sorts of nightclubs and things like that. Oftentimes, they spin big brand names. They'll tell you that Drake and Dr. Dre and Kanye West and the Ghost of Tupac are all spinning records on the top of this club. And if you just give them this at the door, you get free drinks and free entry and a free foot rub and a backroom access with these celebrities. Not the case. Most cases, the legitimate ones out there who are the promoters will put you on a guest list and give you the card. And the card will have some kind of a code written on it. And if you go and pay the cover, which is the case in most cases, you'll get some kind of little perk for going in. But it's not the same as a white list where you just go to the front door. So be careful. I once saw nightclub guys who would completely scam and con over big groups of tourists, unfortunately, largely from the UK. That's not a reflection on the UK people. And a group of 10 or 20 guys in some cases would give them all $40. And the guy would walk away with $400. And then the guys would come back to the same street corner the next day looking to hunt him down as a group of roaming folks, like something out of A Clockwork Orange. That person would disappear for a week and lay low, and then they would wash, rinse, repeat the cycle again. Next up, you have the timeshare people on the strip. Now, why would I put the timeshare people on this level above the people who are doing nightclub hustles? Well, it's tough on this because I was one of these folks for a long time, and there's a lot of good people doing timeshare in the strip on the strip. I'm not saying timeshare is good. I'm saying there are good people trying to make their ends meet to support their families this way. Now, if you meet up with a timeshare person, just know they work off of a gifting budget. If they're a person on a street corner standing in the middle of nowhere, they may very well be licensed, just like I was for so many years. The Nevada Real Estate Division has vetted them and said that they're allowed to promote and point to a building and say, go do that thing, tour, I'll give you some freebies. Some of them will give you Cirque du Soleil and Visa gift cards or gift cards that get you access to a Gordon Ramsay restaurant. And some of them will give you promotional slot play that they tell you can be spun into real money. All you got to do is go down and wait until the lights go from red to green and then cash out your money. And you know, if you have kids, a lot of you guys are older watching this video, you might know this already. When your kids tell you a spun out tale, it's usually not true. But one thing this guy, as well as the nightclub guys, as well as this ladies taking the photos, as well as the people who are doing everything else have in common, we'll get to in just a moment. Yeah, they're usually typically walking away with the mint. The promotional gambling or the junk gift they give you and lie to you about costs them $0. The only way to get legitimate gifts is to walk into a major property like a Wyndham property, if they still have them, or somewhere where there's a company that's put down roots and has a booth and is paying $20 or $30 or even $100,000 a month to generate the leads, send you on the tour. And of course, at the very top of the tier list, we have 3-card money dealers, and then we're going to tie them all into how they all are basically sharing one important thing and why we got some problems in Vegas that tie all these people together on a 1.5-mile strip. And that would be 3-card money dealers. Now, 3-card money dealers, 100% of the time, they're not legit. You got to be careful for 3-card money. Find the red queen. Find the fuzzy red ball, whatever it's called. Now, if you don't know the game is simple. Somebody you walk up to has a table set out on the strip in open air, not in a casino, and they have either cups or cards, and there's a red dice or ball or fuzzy thing under the cups, or there's a red card. It's a red queen usually. And they make you think that if you just watch the cards, spin around all three of the cards, and you pick the red card, you're going to win and double your money back. And so you watch the game for a little bit and you think this is easy because that guy is winning or that lady's winning. And so you build up confidence and you start to go ahead and want to bet. And you bet. And guess what? You win. Double your money. You're on a roll. But you bet a little bit more and you win some more money. And before you know it, it's a sleight of hand game where the person who is actually moving the cards or the cups around has basically altered the game without you knowing about it. There's a big crowd around you. People are pointing out and winning. You're all excited. You're conned into the moment. That's why they call this a confidence game. That's why they call them con men. I once saw a person, an older guy, I think it was from Wisconsin, go nuts and throw the 3-card Monte dealer's table off the overpass that goes from Treasure Island to the Venetian and come down of that escalator bloodied and bruised and beaten up with the ambulance coming to make sure he didn't literally lose his eye. Don't fight these people. Just don't play the game. But it ties it into what all of these people tend to have in common, and that is a sense of charisma that makes you believe that they're legitimate. So the most dangerous person in Vegas isn't the 3-card Monte dealer or the showgirl taking photos or the mascot that could be somebody nefarious under the mask. It's the person with charisma that you put all your trust in too, where part of you says you probably shouldn't listen to this person, but you listen to this person after all. And that's the major problem with coming to a place like Vegas and getting caught up in the moment. You want to have a good time. You want to trust. And on a base level, we have this human trust in our hearts that this person is probably not going to do me any harm, right? Right? And you turn to your significant other and they turn to you and you take that leap and you do that thing. And at the same time, you just got to watch yourself. Just know that people are out to take advantage of you in many, many cases. I wasn't one of them, but I saw so many cases of it over and over again. And again, I can't stress this enough. There are good people in this world that are working on the Las Vegas Strip to support their families. There are also bad people in the world who are trying to take your money. So I hope that bodes well for you. And if you're coming to Vegas and you know somebody else is coming, maybe share this video with them. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Steven. I'm not leaving Las Vegas. This has been a tier list video, my first one I've ever done. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until the next time I see you, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Check out the other channel, Dark Vegas. It's a documentary channel. And we say 3, 2, 1, and click.